Hold on a second. We've been talking for more than wait.
Hey, Howie, you know what I was doing here? Look. You know what I was doing? You know what I was doing at the end of all of my virtual shows? I'm like, all right, everybody, hey, give me some, bring it in. Give me some, Howie. Come on, there you go.
Oh, I love it.
And then I go, all right, I need to sanitize. All right, I need to sanitize. High five and sanitize.
Oh my God.
What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm sheltered in place.
Wait, so they don't let you out of the studio, huh?
You know, folks, we're doing a dual podcast. I'm chatting with magician, illusionist, man of 1,000 clones, Alex Ramon. That's right. Hey, this is the first time I've done a podcast. No, I did it with Boston comedian Jim McHugh, the producer of the Boston Comedy Festival. We did a dual podcast, coast to coast.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was just it was all audio, but I love this.
Yeah. So what will happen is I'm recording it because I'll drop these podcasts in video form and also the audio form. So yeah, I'll send you the email, the file of just the audio. And
I can use this on my Facebook page. If people want to click and do the video? Or just...
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you the video too. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's great.
Great.
Yeah, man. So how are you? What are you, I mean, geez, up at the lake, huh? What's going on up there?
You know, it's been, well, you probably know, they've closed down the lake.
Yeah.
And I just had the city manager on. Talk about a baptism of fire, a brand new city manager. I go, hey, so what are you, how you doing so far? Do you wish you didn't take the job? You know, so I think people are kind of getting right at that tipping point of like, you know what? I'll do this for another, 2 weeks. And then I think people are just going to go later. I'm just going to do what I want, you know?
Yeah.
It's really.
Well, I think that, you know, the fear pandemic was worse than the virus pandemic. And so there's a certain point where people are feeling comfortable enough to go, hey, I can be socially responsible. But also, when you know, having a gas mask on isn't exactly, you know, necessary.
Okay, you're gonna love this. So comics, we're damaged goods anyway. So
did magicians fall in that category?
Yes, I was gonna say you're definitely damaged, but we need the adulation of the audience for, you know, for verification that we exist. You know, so it's there's some comics I talked to, like Bobby Slayton and Rocky Laporte, who's out there in Chicago. And Rocky's great. He goes, hey, I'm not going to Zoom. I need an audience.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's, you know what? I was just talking about the way that live entertainment is going to change after this, because a lot of venues that I'm talking to right now, they're talking about doing virtual shows from their venue, where the performer comes into the venue still, does the show with no live audience, with just the cameras viewing virtually, so in time, and selling virtual tickets. So these venues are deciding, okay, we need to get cameras and the streaming capabilities to do this right now, right? But once they have that all in place, they're going to continue to sell virtual tickets even after when they have a live audience. And I bet the paradigm, I mean, this might be in the future, but the paradigm's going to shift where right now we think, well, I'd rather go see it live. Yeah. And then some people do it virtually. I think eventually what will happen is that most people will prefer to buy tickets to a show virtually than go to see it live.
How do you get that audience feedback though? When you're, say, the comic goes.
So I get a lot of, see, that's going to be the challenge, especially with comedy, magic, is that you have to feel the crowd. Well, music too, but I mean, you know, you want that live crowd there. But I think with technology, they'll probably be able to incorporate microphones from the audience that won't be distracting. But I've done a number of shows via Zoom.
Right.
And you know what's interesting is, even though I can't hear them, the chat box is instant feedback.
Yes.
And I mean, people just oh my gosh, how'd you do
Right.
that? So I know when I'm doing a trick and there's multiple phases through it, I see the chat box lighting up, and then you know that this is resonating with them.
Right.
And but the danger in that is that people can spam up the chat box and start just being silly on there, and then it kind of ruins it a little bit. And so you kind of have to explain to people, especially if you have younger kids, because I have some kids
Oh,
that
right.
watch my show,
Yeah.
and they're having fun because this is what they know, and they like to chat and all this stuff and be silly. It's like, well, that's difficult because the chat box is so vital in my shows in the virtual shows, that
Right.
you have to explain to them, when you're spamming up the chat box and just being silly, it's like screaming and yelling out in the middle of a live performance. And that's not acceptable. So, I mean, it's just, I think that this is all a new
New
platform, a
territories. It's a new frontier.
new frontier. Yeah.
Oh,
So.
hold on a second. We've been talking for more than wait.
Hey, Howie, you know what I was doing here? Look. You know what I was doing? You know what I was doing at the end of all of my virtual shows? I'm like, all right, everybody, hey, give me some, bring it in. Give me some, Howie. Come on, there you go.
Oh, I love it.
And then I go, all right, I need to sanitize. All right, I need to sanitize, high five and sanitize. And so, like, I would give everybody, I'm like, I just gave hundreds of high fives. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, as you know, I had a weekly column in the Tahoe Daily Tribune talking all things comedy, and a Lake Tahoe entertainer that you were in a lot when you were up here as a resident illusionist. So they let me turn my column into a weekly article, how comics are coping during this pandemic. And man, and I joked, the first guy I had Bob Zaney, because he's on my radio show.
I know Bob.
And I jokingly said, and this is before there was a complete shutdown.
Yeah.
I go, here's what's going to happen, folks. You're going to put your credit card into your phone or into your laptop and say, hi, I want edgy comedy. Let's see if, Bob Zaney seems to be cheap. Let's go for him. And then you type in 20 minutes of Bob Zaney, and here's our names, so you could personalize the show. And then I hit a button, and a hologram appears in your living room as Bob does it from his home down in Vegas. It was weird.
You know what's weird? It's like, that's what's going to happen. And it seems so far-fetched out of our thoughts right now that that it's silly to us. But one day they'll be looking back going, you had to send a link to a Zoom, and you can only talk to one person at a time. Like, why would you? And you just like, why would you do that? You had a cell phone. Why would you have a cell phone when you just have it, whatever? And you're just like, well, guess what? So I think it's really exciting time technology-wise. It's also can be a little scary, and thinking about the way things are going, and hopefully, we all continue to be responsible with our behavior socially and with the technology that we're getting.
Number one, I gave up not trying to touch my face since day one.
Oh my gosh, it's like still impossible.
I'm going like, I've written all these pandemic jokes that I did on these Zoom things where you see the different musicians, because I'd go on between musicians and I go, so the CDC says I can't touch my face, right? Oh, just my face, right? My face? Whew. Okay.
Yeah.
Face?
No,
nothing else?
The best one was that woman. Do you remember this? This went viral. It was the woman from like the health. I don't remember what her official title was, but
oh my God, where she licked
her fingers to turn the face.
Santa Clara, yes. Oh my God, that was
She was saying, listen, it's very difficult. Like we need to be very mindful not to touch our mouths or our nose, because those can transfer diseases. And you're just like, what?
My opening line was, hey, folks, look, I've been practicing social distancing long before it became mandated by the CDC. When I was married to Nancy, we were barely within 9 feet of one another. Hello.
What's so silly about this whole thing is that, they're like, oh, close the entertainment, close small businesses, but Target and Lowe's,
Oh, I
that's fine.
know.
Home
I
Depot,
know.
Walmart,
Oh,
gyms need to close. And I'm thinking gyms are some of the cleanest places,
right.
because they have
Okay,
alcohol swipes that they wipe down all the equipment
every,
all the time. And so you have people that are constantly wiping down and cleaning things, and they're like, oh, gyms need to go. It's like, but Walmart
it's,
doesn't.
oh,
Walmart, you don't even have to have shoes on to go in, but you have to have a mask. Like,
okay. I feel very fortunate, knock on for Micah, is that I still get to do my radio show. Get this. So both governors of California, Nevada deemed my show essential. Suckers. So so I've had because it's been like a conduit, of information.
yeah,
So I've had, the folks from Barton Hospital on. I had the city manager on this morning. The PIO for the city, Chris Fiore's on every Thursday.
I'm
And
essential. I'm a magician. I'm on the show.
exactly. And I was going to say, if anything's essential, this. How many times after a show where you do the meet and greets, people go, "Oh my God, this is the first time I've been out or left and
Yeah.
had a good time since."
Definitely.
That interaction I really, really miss.
Yeah.
Because people they would tell you,
Yeah, Howie, I did a thing that I called 35 and 35, where I did 35 shows in 35 days.
Oh, right.
And I did a different magic show every day. And I can't tell you, man, I've had, over the course of the month, literally thousands of people saw the show. Thousands, right? And I would get emails and private messages on Instagram, direct messages on Facebook, thanking me and saying, I look forward to these shows every single night. And it made the shelter in place and the quarantine easier to deal with because I had something to look forward to. And, it was like almost one of the first times in my, smile. It was almost one of the first times in my career that I felt that I was doing something beyond just giving commercial entertainment.
Right.
It was something that people truly needed and they craved and they desired, even because it made people feel better. It gave people a little joy during a difficult time. And I was happy that I was able to do that. I mean, it was really amazing. And so people really do need the entertainment. They need the levity in their lives. I think sense of humor amongst human beings is essential. The sense of humor, laugh. Whenever you talk to anybody, what their favorite moments are always about, I just love to laugh.
Yeah.
And that is one of the greatest things that we can do as human beings. And so it's important to do. It's important not to lose during the times that are difficult, like now. And it makes people who are those the avenues in which to get the laughter essential and important.
Well, here's what's tough as a comic. I mean, granted, we have a set act, but a lot of times I would feed off the audience as a segue to go into something else, like,
right.
So you ask somebody, hey, and I've seen, you guys do that as well, where you would like, it was so cool when you bring a kid up and just, and it became such a highlight and the audience loved it, but it was weird. I mean, I could do my act. It's bad enough without applause or applause break. But hey, there's some acts we know that.
Hey, you're used to not getting applause.
I was gonna say, hey, we know a lot of comics that can empty a room, so they're used to doing anyway. So
no one laughs anyways. It's like you're in the act. What do you care?
Exactly. But one of the best experiences ever up in Tahoe. I give it as top of my top 5. We had when a lot of people would come up to Lake Tahoe to get married, but a lot of people were superstitious about numerology. So I remember on 11/11/11, half the comedy club filled with people that got married that day. And I just happened to say, this is where you get the crowd feel. I go, hey, who got married today? Because I knew there was like, oh, we got it. And so this one lady stood up, unrehearsed, I love it. We got married at 11 minutes after 11 on November 11, 11/11. And people replied, this other woman, Aname, she goes like, oh yeah, bitch. Well, we got married at 11 to midnight at 11/11. And I said, folks, calm down. Half of you are going to be divorced by 12-12-12. So I just, and then
yes, yes, that's so good. Amazing. I
and that would
love
only
that.
happen with the interaction of an audience. Like they just
Right.
walked in and went,
Oh
woo!
my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so here's why an audience is essential. I was just doing, I love that. I was just doing a show, just maybe a few months ago, last year, right? I was doing a show in at the Magic Castle in Hollywood, right?
Oh, nice.
And I'm doing this show, and then you have the evenings are for the 21 plus, and then on the weekends you have the brunch shows, which allows kids.
Oh, right.
So I was doing one of the brunch shows, and how they seat in the theater is they seat like the first 3 rows just kids, and then all the adults in the back.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it's good so kids can see.
Yeah.
So I go out into the audience. I say, I need someone from the audience. And there's this lady shouting from the back of the room. And she's like, I forget the name. I'll just say Tracy. Tracy, get Tracy. Tracy, get. And she's yelling. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, I hear you. And Tracy, get Tracy. And I'm looking around. And you kind of see people going like, lady, like calm down, because she won't stop. She's like, Tracy, get Tracy. And I like just stop and I go, listen, lady, I don't know who Tracy is. And she goes, I go, none of us know Tracy. No one knows who Tracy is. And everybody's just going because they're laughing because they're like, Tracy, who the heck is Tracy? So then I go up to this like little girl and I go, are you Tracy? And the little girl's like, no. I go, well, come with me, And so finally I go, no, okay, we'll get somebody else. I'm like, where? So I go into the back. I go, who's shouting Tracy? And they go, Tracy, Tracy. I go, I see the lady. I go, okay, lady, who's Tracy? It was like an adult woman sitting next to her. I go, wait, this woman's Tracy? I go, it's not even a kid. How selfish are you?
Right there?
Not even a kid. It's the only time that kids can go to the Magic Castle, and you're shouting for me to get somebody to help out.
Funny.
And so everybody's just laughing. And so those moments are real moments that you can have fun with an audience that are the performance. And the best thing is that the audience feels they're getting something special.
Yeah.
And they know they are, because they know this isn't
It's never been done. This hasn't been done. Yeah. When you were telling that story, it reminded me, and I was telling you mine, I could just see, because it's fun when you get to mentor young comics. They always ask you for advice, and I could just see wide-eyed comic going, I watched that podcast with you and Alex. You guys performed in front of people?
Yes. Oh, you had a live audience? You could actually see them?
Yes.
Isn't that scary?
Did you? I was joking on the radio show.
You actually had to have pants on?
Yeah, exactly. That was one thing I had. I have to look at this. Woo! So I was joking on the air the other day, going, "Hey, every show in the future is going to be sold out, but there are only 50 people that were in attendance." Yeah, but when you space them 6 by 6, we were packed. We were beyond packed. Standing room only.
I literally said this joke to my friend Miguel. My friend Miguel Washington's a comic out of Atlanta, and we were talking on the podcast, and we said the same thing. He goes, "Listen, man, we can't have shows that are everybody 6 feet apart." He's like, "We sold out." I go, "Yeah, man, I did a show at the Garden, sold out. Oh, sweet. How many people? 250. I sold out the Garden."
Well, you know what feels weird already? Remember after 9/11, when you watch a movie like Working Girl or anything that showed the towers in the background, you went, wow. And now I'm in that mindset now where I'm watching packed crowds at a show going, oh, that was pre-C word. Oh my God. That was a pre-corona. It was so different back then.
I mean, and then people say, oh, how irresponsible. You used to have 300 people in your theater watching a comic show?
Uh,
How
isn't that,
dare you?
you,
You don't
Alex,
care about humanity.
yes, where's your compassion? Don't you? You should put
You're
that out
only
when
greedy for the money.
Hey, some of the comics I've talked to, it's so gut wrenching, and of course I'll clean it up. But like Alan Havey's a great comic. He's on my show on Mondays. We do a
Right.
thing called Howie Wood and Havey Wood, where I play the old Warner Brothers. Hooray for it! I go Howie Wood, and then Alan's in Santa Monica. Ba 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 ba. Havey Wood. So he's not only is he a great comic, but he's also got a nice part in Showtime's Billions on
Oh,
TV with Damian Lewis and Paul Giamatti.
yeah,
So
man.
he cracked me up. He goes, 1 week, Howie, I'm shooting back-to-back episodes of New York City, having dinner with Paul Giamatti, doing a week at the Comedy Cellar. Next week, I'm home in Santa Monica feeding my father-in-law dinner with a selfie stick.
Huge paradigm shift.
I just so count my lucky stars that I've got the radio gig and I socked away enough, for a rainy day. Who, as entertainers do, but who knew the rainy day would be a virus?
Well, I really feel this way, and I mean, I felt the same way because I lost all of my, I travel about 10 months of the year,
Wow.
and immediately all my gigs were
Like that.
done. They're out, and so you lost a lot of contracts, you lost a lot of work, and luckily I was in a position where I wasn't like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, good thing I have, an emergency fund. Now,
Right.
that emergency fund definitely can and will run out.
Yes.
But
yes.
So
Yes.
definitely to how long are we gonna wait here? But it's like if I didn't have that, which most Americans don't, and not even Americans, most human beings don't.
Right, they don't save.
Yeah, well, they don't save, or they don't have the means to save enough that they need.
Right.
It's not hard. Most of in the big picture, most of humans were always hunter and gatherers and farmers. Why? Because all they needed was to eat. So at this point in time, it's like that's the most important thing is to eat. That's why I didn't get this whole toilet paper rush. I'm like, shouldn't we be getting food? Like food, toilet paper. Just get in the back, I'll hose you off. Like, what's the difference?
Alex, when I had a physician on my radio show, that by the way, that's the other great thing about the having the radio show. I come to the show in boxers and a bathrobe if I'm lucky. I'll call in. I don't have to worry about it,
Right.
So I asked the doctor that who was on the air. I go, "What's with the toilet paper?" I go, and I with a straight face, I said on the air, "Does the virus originate from the rectum? I mean, there's got to be is that where it germinates? And then is that why the toilet paper?" And for a second, he was going like, no. He didn't get the joke that, I was saying, I'm kidding, doctor. Just trying to figure out why people are hoarding TP,
Yeah. Oh my
it's
gosh.
crazy.
I don't get it. And so I didn't get it at all. I'm like, what shouldn't we be? And then the crazy thing is that it wasn't just the toilet paper. People were hoarding like processed foods, but yet all the organic fruits and vegetables were all there. And it's like, that's what you should be getting. What are you doing? So
I know.
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing is that my whole opinion on the whole thing, if I have one, is, we all need to be responsible for our own personal hygiene and our own personal health. And we can do that in a variety of ways, pre-pandemic and now after this. And if we are all individually responsible with our health, that's going to be for the betterment of everyone else. So, eat healthy, exercise, make sure your immune system is as in tip-top shape as possible so you can deal with things. And I think we'll be in a better situation for everyone will be in a better situation if we all do that, as opposed to blanket policies. Because, I'm thinking, I'm like, I thought my dad one day, told me he wasn't feeling too good. And that made me like, I was like, uh-oh,
Oh.
serious. Yeah, he goes, oh, I don't feel good. And, hey, it's a thing. I'm out walking MJ, my puppy, and I have to sneeze. And if I sneeze, everybody looks at me like, oh, and I'm like, allergies still exist. Allergies still exist. I still have allergies. I'm sorry, And so my dad had said he didn't feel good one day. And I was like, huh. And I started thinking, I really did. I started thinking like, what if he had the virus? What would I do? How would I feel? And I'm like, I would tell my dad, one, to be as proactive in being safe and quarantining himself, staying home like you should if you're sick in any capacity, to stay home,
right.
so you don't pass it, but also for your own well-being, is getting better. And also like, okay, if you had to go to the doctor, at a hospital, all those things are going through my head. But at the same time, I never thought, well, other people, if my dad got this virus or he has it, other people shouldn't be allowed to work or feed their families because my dad is now sick.
Right.
That thought never crossed my mind. I don't think that's, for me personally, that's an opinion that I had. And so, although people are getting sick and most people are recovering fine. I've had multiple friends who've had it,
Right.
I know many people who've got the coronavirus, and I don't know anyone who has died from it. Every single person that I know that have contracted it has gotten better. But that's just me. And I mean, other people can speak for whatever. All I'm saying is that, we need to be, I believe in personal care over blanket policies that affect, 20 million people filed for unemployment. And
over 30. Now it's over
30 million people filed for unemployment.
Yeah.
And like,
great.
And globally, 250,000 people have died from it. So it's like globally, but in the US, I think it's like, what, 80,000 the count is?
Yeah, it's just going over 81, 82.
Yeah, 81, 82,000 died, but 20 million have filed for unemployment. It's like a big,
even beyond. Now, here's a positive. Yeah. I know a lot of comics, I'm sure you know a few folks in your biz, that we needed a pandemic because a lot of these people I know would never wash their hands. I mean, I just know a lot of them just.
Like I've actually said, like, I'm right on. I just had this conversation this morning with my friend Martina. I'm like, the good thing about this is, like in Japan, if you have a sniffle, if you have any little thing, you wear a mask, not because it's obvious, but just because it's more sanitary. And I'm like, I think that should be adopted worldwide. If ever you have a little bit of a sniffle or a cough, you put a mask on, just like they did in Japan for decades. They've been doing that. Right. And then also it's like, if more people wash their hands all the time, I'm all for it. Let me tell you something. I've done this for years. When I go to a public restroom, I wash my hands before I go to the bathroom and after, always. Because my hands, as you're in public touching things, my hands are more dirty than what I got going on. Right? So I want my hands clean before I use the restroom, so I'm clean to use the restroom, and then I clean again afterwards. So I've always double washed. I've double washed.
And even before the pandemic, I was going to buy a bidet because I wanted a fountain next to the toilet. And then when I found out, I could use this for other areas as well. Wow.
Well, you thought, I got a bidet because every once in a while I'm in the bathroom, I get a little thirsty.
Okay. Two things that have really been good for me as far as, because I use a guitar in the act, right?
Yeah.
So I just finished writing, and I Zoomed it for the first time. I had the lyrics up and everything, called My Pandemic Dog, about what? We just went for a walk 3 times in the same hour? Why don't you go out there? I'll stay sheltered in place. You need the exercise anyway. Just drag the leash. People will think you have an invisible dog. So that's one good thing. And up in Tahoe, they were telling tourists, don't come up here, don't come up here. Right. And so I wrote the big thing, sheltered in place, sheltered in place. So I wrote a song called Shoveled in Place, because I found tourists next door. They're not there anymore. Howie, what did you do? Did you scare them away? I guess you could say that. I made the curve go flat because they're buried in my backyard, shoveled in place. So that got a lot of love. so, so that's a plus. That's a
Yeah,
plus.
yeah. I mean, you know.
Okay, I do have to ask you before you forget.
Okay.
I was watching my show for my favorite show for the last 25 years, CBS Sunday Morning, and I met Charles Kuralt years ago. I gave him a
Oh,
cassette. Google it, kids, of my comedy songs. He sent me a nice letter. He loved it. And then I'm watching CBS Sunday Morning, and I go, "Oh my God, they're doing the Sunny Awards! What the?" And you popped on. How did you get into that? I thought that was brilliant.
yeah. So kind of hitting back on my 35 and 35 tour. So
Right,
I had this idea for a tour that I wanted to do 30. It was a challenge. It was a challenge
right.
tour of mine. And what I did is I said I want to do 35 shows in 35 days in 35 different cities. And
Wow.
so I blasted out on social media saying, "Hey, I need hosts for the show, for any odd whatever it is. I just want to do that.
Okay.
I don't care what the show is." So some of the shows were for theaters, some of the shows were for a casino, some of the shows were for private events in people's homes. One was
Right.
for company parties, one was for Muay Thai gym. So it's just a
Oh,
random
wow.
eclectic group. Yeah, and it was more about just the fun of going, "Hey, tonight I'm at the Harry Potter Club at Santa Clara University. I'm doing a show." And then next night is, "Hey, I'm at EA Sports doing a show." Or, "Hey, I'm at, and so that was kind of the fun of the whole thing. And so within 2 days after this, and this would have been in like uh, really early March, I believe. Yeah, early mid March, because the tour was supposed to go April 1st through May 5th. That was sort of my
Right.
35 days. And like, a few weeks out, I got within 2 days all 35 canceled. Boom. Just like
Wow.
that. Like that. So it was not even, and it was like the emails and the calls that I did have were like, "So no, right? Yeah, okay, I get." And I was always like, "I understand." A few people that were on the tail end of it, that were like in the late April, early May. At first, they said, "Well, let's see how it goes."
That's
And then as we got into it, they just knew, no one's going to show up. We can't do this, and fine.
right.
So I just thought, wow, well, there goes, the tour. I don't have anything. Everything into the summer canceled, cruises canceled, other tours canceled, venues canceled, dinner theaters, everything I had. And so now I'm sitting here with, nothing to do. And I thought, well, it's kind of nice because I travel all the time. I can do things around the house. But then, like you, I kind of, that lasted for about, half a day. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. And so I had decided, sorry, this is a long story, but
Oh,
I had decided that probably on like April, I had decided on like April like 28th, like literally, or not April, like March 28th, like a day or two before I was supposed to start the tour. I was like, what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it via Zoom in my studio right here. And the challenge was that I was going to do, instead of, as you know, if you do 35 different dates, you're doing your same show or your same set
right.
every night in 35 different gigs. And even when you're doing, 2 shows a night or a weekend, you're doing the same set every show because that's your
Right.
set. And you might throw in one thing new, but you
Yeah.
have a set. For me, because I knew that I would have some of the same audience every single night, I
Uh,
made sure, and I said, I'll be doing something different every night. You will not see me repeat anything. So
wow.
that was the challenge. And so as time went on, in the first night, I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to watch. And
Yeah.
eventually, it started at like 60 devices. Then it went to like 90. Then it went to like 1.
Wow.
Then it went to 210. And then our last show, we had over
Wow.
320, 350, somewhere in there, devices, which means that the real numbers were probably up to 1,000 plus, because most of the people watching, there's more than one people watching. You see
Right.
a group of 5 people watching on one computer. You
Right.
have some individuals, but the majority are groups. And so, so I had probably overly easily over 300 something devices watching, which means that, you can easily double or triple that number of people. But anyways, in the course of this thing, one of the people who watched every single night saw an email from David Pogue, or a post from David Pogue saying,
Oh,
hey, I'm looking for creative things going on during this shelter in place. And he said, hey, I tune into this magician every single night. He had a tour going and then
oh,
it all canceled. And so he decided to do it via Zoom, and he does a different magic show every night. And so David Pogue tuned
oh,
into one of my shows. And it happened to be, as like every Thursday, I would say, hey, I'm going to do a throwback Thursday. Here's a video clip of me on tour with Disney. Here's a video
oh,
clip of whatever, right? So he happened to tune in on the Disney night,
oh,
because the viewers, I was like, hey, what do you guys want to do? Like, I did a formal night because I said, I was supposed to be on a cruise ship, and they have formal nights on the cruise ship. So you know what? We're at home. We're going to have a formal night. So dress up, candles, get suit and ties, women wear a nice dress, have a nice dinner, enjoy your evening. We're going to have a formal night together, even
oh,
if
I
we're
love
at
it.
home. So people all over the world, I have people that would watch every show from Australia, and I had people watching from Finland. I had people watching from Singapore, and these people would dress up. And I would start the stream, and you see candles. They're like, this is what I had for dinner. And they all look really nice. Some of the young kids, some of the girls are in high school, were like, oh, I'm going to wear my prom dress. And you're like, oh my gosh. And so it
Oh
was really
man.
amazing. So I had formal night, then I had Disney night, and he tuned into Disney night, and he saw all the kids were dressed up in their Disney
Oh,
things. People had Disney backgrounds, and like, it just felt like such a tight community of people that are getting together and doing something that is positive. That he said, this is incredible of what's going on here.
wow.
And so he presented me and 5 other people with these Sunny Awards.
Yeah.
And it was pretty incredible to be a part of, because it was national news, and people,
Yes.
it was quite amazing. But that was the how that connection happened. Is one of my viewers reached out and said, hey, this is what's going
That's
on.
awesome. And
Yeah.
I love that when he gave you the Sunny Award to the
Oh, the screen. So like we had to figure out how to do that, right?
That was cool.
So I had my phone mounted to the back. So I had my phone mounted on the back of my computer recording, and then we had a Zoom call like we are right now. And
Right.
then I would say, okay, does this look right? He goes, yeah, that looks right. And so we were doing the interview, and I'm looking at the wall, talking and this and that. And I went like this, and he goes, no, that's too low. I'm like, oh, it's too low. He goes, yeah, just a little bit higher. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like here, and he goes, yeah, that looked good. And like, like when you see it cut together at the end,
That's
it looks
funny.
pretty good.
That's damn good. Because I was gonna say, hey, isn't it in the background there? Your award?
Well, he said that he had duct tape on the back of the monitor, and so he was taking the award and setting it behind the TV monitor that I'm supposed to be on, and sticking it to duct tape, so when he comes out, you have it.
Hey, this has been a blast.
I love it, Howie. I'm glad to talk to you, man. And stay safe.
Yes.
Sanitize. Spray. We've been talking. Spray. Yeah, spray Lysol. Yeah. Then you exactly. Like then you're gonna get sick, and you're gonna get poisoned from.
No, we gotta do this again, because this is such a blast, man. Dueling podcasts.
All right, we'll see who gets more views.
We're writing about you in the Tribune too, the Tahoe Daily Tribune.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean,
It'll be a
I'm
feature
supposed to
thing,
be up
so,
there.
yeah.
I was going to be up there around Easter doing shows, but obviously couldn't do that. So Tahoe is always on my list. I love it up there. I love the fans. I love the people, and I can't wait to get back up. And I just encourage everybody to stay safe and take the proper precautions for their own health.
And Peggy Blowney from the Tahoe Arts Project.
Oh yeah,
she follows me all the time. She goes, Howie, I'm giving you an exclusive. Alex may be up in February.
Yes, I will be there the end of February doing shows with her and the program. So it's going to be amazing, and that and that one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too. We'll have you on the show.
Absolutely.
I'll have you outside in the lobby while I'm on the station but you know.
We'll talk through the glass.
Yes, we will. Alex, it's been great. We'll do it again.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. I'll send you this audio file in just a bit.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Be well. Say hi to Mom. Hi, Molly.
Yeah, she's good. Bye.
Bye. Oh.